The Miami Heat currently are stuck in what you would call the no man's land in the NBA. And being stuck in the no man's land means that you're good enough to make the playoffs, but not good enough to make any type of noise when you are in the playoffs. And then when something like that happens, you're not in a position to get a good enough draft pick because you're going to be outside of the lottery because you're a playoff team. And the Heat has found themselves in this position for the past couple of years, including this year. Even though I know they only a half game out of the 8th spot, they still fit the mold of being a team that fights so hard to try to get into the playoffs and never have success in it, or a team that doesn't have the necessary pieces to try to move up in playoff standings and seeding. And as a supporter of this team, if y'all didn't know, I'm a Heat fan. I have been frustrated with the direction of this team, as I felt like we've been signing and trading for a bunch of bad contracts when we could really just tank for about a season or two, get young valuable assets, and then try to rebuild for the future. And that is what I believe that they should be doing currently right now, instead of fighting to try to make the playoffs and more than likely get eliminated in the first round. But the Heat have put themselves in one of the most awkward situations in the league because, again, they don't really have young stars on their team that they can rebuild for the future with, or put enough stock into to say maybe we have a potential all-star in our hands. The Heat don't have that on their roster. And that's me being aware of the players like Derrick Jones Jr., who I feel like we need to see a lot more out of. Josh Richardson's entering his prime. He's good, a good shot creator, a good spot-up shooter. And Justice Winslow, who's finally having his career season. I feel like I've been waiting ever since his second season for this to happen. But with all that being said, those names don't pop out at you as like a name like Luka Doncic would, or Jason Tatum would, or Trae Young would. And if the Heat was actually focused on getting into the lottery, they would put themselves in the position to get those type of players. But instead of being focused on that, the Heat really have been focused on giving out bad contracts to average players, if you want to be completely honest with ourselves. Just to throw out a few names, because this roster is littered with bad contracts from top to bottom. Hassan Whiteside, making $25 million this season with a player option, which he's going to accept because nobody wants to pay him that much, for $27 million. Completely untradeable, and limits the growth of someone like Bam Adebayo, who's been really solid in my opinion. They traded for the Ryan Anderson contract. They just swapped bad contracts. Tyler Johnson, bad contract for Ryan Anderson's contract. Two bad contracts, but the same thing. They both was on the Heat roster. James Johnson's making upwards of $15 million from this season moving forward. Dion Waiters is making upwards of $11 million a season, and he really only had about one good season for Miami. And another thing all these bad contracts piling up does, it limits you in free agency. We know that the Miami Heat is a free agent destination. Just think back of December of 2010. We signed Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, and LeBron James. Now that might never happen again on that type of degree, but it is South Beach, it's Miami. Who doesn't want to play the hot weather? Everything that you would say about playing in Los Angeles, besides of Hollywood and stuff like that, Miami is the same type of option. So free agents will want to play for the Heat. They got the history, the culture, Pat Riley on the front office. So not only are they not putting themselves in the position to get into the lottery, maybe top 5, top 3, and get a really, really nice young player, but they're also limiting themselves in free agency because they want to sign people like Hassan Whiteside and James Johnson to extremely large contracts. So what I think the Heat need to do after this season, because I believe they will make the playoffs, I think the Magic will drop out, and the final 3 to get in will probably be the Pistons, the Nets, and then the Heat, in whatever order. I think that's how it will be locked in. So they really can't make any moves right now. But I think in this offseason, you have to find a team that's dumb enough to take on some of these contracts. You're not going to be able to get rid of all of them. Nobody's going to trade for Hassan Whiteside. and nobody's gonna trade for Ryan Anderson unless it's probably like back to the Rockets for some more shooting. But I even doubt they want that contract back. They trade him for a reason. But they need to find some way to dump some of these large contracts and try to take a step back and try to get into the lottery. But that would be all for this video. Shout out to Dwayne Wade. His last season, my favorite player of all time. Shout out to Dwayne Wade. And don't forget, we're on a journey to 100 subscribers. It's very important that you subscribe to this channel, like the video, comment, everything. Because that's only going to make the video fit into the YouTube algorithm. And we can get this journey up and starting. But this has been Money Mack, and I'm out.